In the spring of 2022, a fraud exposed himself to the world. Dumb. Because behind a story that involved explosions and the next viral pink-haired anime girl was an author that admitted, in his own words, that he felt nothing for this very story. A story that had the world obsessed and was in the top fractions of a percent of anime to ever exist. And this was despicable. Or at least that's what everyone thought, because after deep diving and looking into what this sentence actually meant, I found that beneath all the social media outrage was not a liar or fraud, but someone who was just trying to get over depression and piece back together a childhood dream that had been stomped out nearly a decade ago. In 2012, 32-year-old Tatsuya Endo vanished without a trace. After the end of his most recent story, Gekkabijin, he realized that he hated manga. He hated drawing it, he hated thinking about it, and every time he tried to make anything, he would spiral down a rabbit hole of perfectionism, agonizing over every minute detail from start to end. How did he put up with this all these years? Especially when now he actually had a manga. Back in high school, he didn't even have anything to his name, and he still drew. Twice he submitted stories to his favorite magazine company, and twice he failed. 3 times if you count the first time he tried in 5th grade. In fact, Endo didn't even debut until he was 20, and all that time he was grinding away, inspired by such artists like Akira Toriyama and Nishimori Hiroyuki, until he finally made it with Seibu Yugi.
Whatever.
He thought.
I'm done. I'm fine with being an assistant to a bigger person as long as I can get by. I started at Gekkabijin all the way back in 2000. If after 12 years I can't even come up with a good story, then fuck it. I give up.
But even though Endo was hopeless, he wasn't friendless.
Endo, I haven't heard from you in a while. You alright, bro?
Sure, I'm fine.
Well, you can't just go disappearing like that. Amu and Kato and the rest of us were all worried to death.
I'm just going through some personal stuff right now.
Ah, I see. I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
If you ever need anyone to talk to, ring me, okay? That's what friends are for.
This isn't like the New York days anymore, Ren, but thanks. I'll call you.
Rin was one of Endo's closest friends, dating all the way back to when Endo had his first proper serialization, Tista, when Rin was his editor. He was a young newbie back then, younger than Endo himself, which is comforting in a way.
Endo, the editing department's preparing for a new magazine launch.
Really?
Yeah, we're calling it Jump Square. I wanted to ask if you wanted Tista to be in the founding edition of the launch.
Oh, sure. That'd be cool.
Let's go! Thank you, Endo.
Oh, you're welcome. God, that guy's always so full of energy.
And Tista, well, it actually wasn't that bad. Besides the fact that it was, like all of Endo's other stuff, dark as hell, it sat so good with the readers that the company even let Rin and Endo take a trip to New York City, where the story was set, to go experience the city
Some sort of urban bird feeder?
and hang out for a little, even if they didn't really have a lot of money to spend. The 5 years between 2007 and 2012 were some of Endo's most active years. 2 serialized stories with full assistant teams, 2 assistant positions Endo had himself, a couple of broken body parts, he really wanted to exercise, and a lesson on procrastination.
Guys, this is the final chapter. Final scene. You guys put it off so much that we're going to be forced to stay up all night doing it. And no hiding it in the back of a drawer will not make me forget about it.
Easy for you to say. How many times I've seen you sleep or play kendama, or whatever, until the last possible second to finish up your...
Hey, Amu.
Holy shit. Don't have to scare me like that.
Oh, I'm sorry. We're actually out of toilet paper.
Oh. Does he want me to go get some?
So are you going to be okay?
Those were the good old years. In fact, that second story was requested by the editor-in-chief himself, but it didn't matter. It was over. Endo did not want to draw any manga anymore. In fact, he couldn't even bring himself to read any because it just made him feel bad. So as Gekkabijin ended and 2012 began, Endo decided he would just stop. While Endo was coping, Rin was having his own issues. Beyond the fact that he was now in charge of another guy who was seemingly a prodigy, his company's readership was falling off, and their newest venture into the digital space was tumbling hard. It was honestly kind of painful to look at, and there was nothing Rin could do. Though it wasn't all doom and gloom, Rin had managed to get Endo to pen a story after lightly prodding him a few times. Well, granted, that story didn't do well, but at least it was something. Endo had even started posting some art on Pixiv.
And that was a good sign. At least I knew that he wasn't totally adverse to drawing.
Though, as an editor, Rin had other things to contend to. His prodigy, Tatsuki Fujimoto, was not having a good time either. His story about a man who's constantly on fire wasn't getting through to anyone. And as Fujimoto's editor, Rin felt a responsibility to get the thing serialized, especially since he thought it was a good story.
I mean, it's literally a story about a guy who's always on fire. I don't see what can't be interesting.
But with the people in the editing department disagreeing with him, Rin couldn't really do anything. It was a print magazine after all, so the competition was stiff given the physical limitations. If only there was a medium where physical limitations didn't exist, like a digital magazine.
Yes, Ren?
Hey, Endo, I just wanted to let you know I'm transferring out of Jump SQ to the digital department.
What? What for?
I'm trying to get one of my guys' stuff serialized. His name's Fujimoto.
I've never heard of him.
Yeah, well, he just graduated a few years ago. He's pretty young.
Mm-hmm.
I was actually wondering if you'd be willing to be an assistant of his. I heard you've been doing a lot of assistant work lately.
Oh, yeah, sure. I'd be down. Just ring me up whenever.
Alright, cool.
Fujimoto's fireman story, named Fire Punch, would soon make the waves, and Endo, along with all of Fujimoto's assistants, would see its impact firsthand, as the story they had worked on went to save Shueisha's failing digital magazine. As Fire Punch kept rolling, Endo wrote another one-shot, and just like Rengoku no Ash, it didn't do so well either.
But something's always better than nothing.
And as Fire Punch wrapped up, and Fujimoto went to work on a story about a chainsaw man, Endo sat down with Rin to brainstorm his next one-shot.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna force you to draw anything.
Uh-huh.
But I will say that based on your past stories that didn't do so well, the whole dark thing might not be working.
I see what you mean.
Yeah, so how about this? I want you to draw something that isn't dark.
Snap back to reality.
Fair enough.
And try to make the characters look either really cute or really cool. I know it sounds weird, but that's kind of how the mainstream is right now.
I guess I can see that.
After a little thinking, Endo would come up with a story about war. He was always into military stuff anyways, and drew a story about a spy getting his plots foiled by a high school girl who's in love with him. Rin was impressed. The readers were too, which gave Endo a green light for a possible serialization. But having been out of making manga and depressed for almost 6 years, Endo was rusty and really had to think.
Alright, so I guess the first order of business is, what should the title be?
Well, I mean, it's about a spy and a family, so I guess spy family for now. Don't want to think too hard about it.
Alright, fair enough. And the characters?
Yeah, so there's a spy. That's cool, right? Everyone likes spies.
Gentlemen,
I like them at least.
Mm-hmm.
And an assassin and a little girl. I want the girl to have some sort of power. I haven't really figured it out yet.
Well, your main character's a spy, right?
Yeah.
Well, how about telepathy? I feel like the spies would not like telepathy.
Oh, that's actually a good idea. Sure, and we'll give her pink hair.
Oh, alright, why pink hair?
Well, I mean, all the cute girls have pink hair nowadays, right?
Yeah, I guess, yeah, you're right.
I really don't want to worry about their names right now. Just give them some placeholders. Twilight sounds cool. Anya sounds cute. We'll figure it out later.
Alright, yeah, what about the assassin?
You know, it's kind of hard for me to draw an assassin, just ethically, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But if it works out, she'll have a name.
Alright, sick. Well, you have a month and a half until the board meeting, so go get him.
Endo's placeholders would eventually become permanent. After agonizing over what the title should be, he and Rin both agreed to just make the title Spy Family, with a cross between the words a la another popular manga, featuring a Twilight, an Anya, and a Yor. The editing department was head over heels. In fact, everyone liked it so much that the meeting wasn't really even necessary. Everyone knew it was already going to be serialized. Helped along with the fact that Jump Plus was holding a promotion that let any reader who signed up for the app read Spy Family for free, the story was almost instantly viral. And, uncharacteristic of Endo, he drew out the first 9 chapters relatively easily and in a relatively good mood, with the manga so popular that it actually shifted Jump Plus's gender demographic. It was more or less inevitable that someone was going to have to make a Spy Family anime. The manga and anime industries are like brothers in arms. They're underpaid, they're overworked, and no one seems to actually give a shit. So when Toho, a Japanese media distribution giant, started discussing a Spy Family anime with an animation studio called WIT, issues were abound. The team at WIT had just come off producing Bubble, an almost 2-hour-long animated movie. Hearing Toho's suggestion, WIT producer Nakatake Tetsuya knew something had to change. With no break for the team between Bubble and the upcoming Spy Family, the quality of the animation would likely go to shit. And so, with himself and the team exhausted already, Nakatake decided to phone a close friend of his, leader of Cloverworks, Yuichi Fukushima, who he was having talks of collaboration with all the way back when Endo was writing I Spy. So while Endo was busy running a campaign on Japanese messaging app Line, WIT and Cloverworks geared up for the cross-collaborative production of the Spy Family anime, with each studio producing alternating episodes. Spy Family's anime adaptation would eventually come out in spring, and with the world now obsessed with the adventures of these 3 characters, Endo sat back. True, this wasn't what he wanted to write. He was into writing dark stories after all, and this was anything but. But hey, something is better than nothing, and he felt genuine joy when people told him how much they loved his story. So for now, this was alright. Spy Family would be a stepping stone out, a rehab from those 6 dark years where he'd all but given up hope, a gateway to bigger and better things to come.